Hello and welcome or welcome back. This is another in the 10-Minute Tips series of presentations for Credit and Collection Pros. My name is Michael Dennis. Today's presentation is titled Credit Scoring Software. It's an excerpt from a 1-hour presentation on credit department automation. Introduction. A business credit score is similar conceptually to a personal credit score. I think most listeners, most people, are familiar with the idea that third-party credit reporting agencies, such as TransUnion, create credit scores for individuals. Well, the same concept is applied to business credit scoring. But obviously, instead of measuring an individual's creditworthiness, it evaluates a company's creditworthiness. Business credit scores typically measure a number of facts and factors. They measure financial stress as well as the customer's payment history. Generally speaking, business-to-business credit scores examine the likelihood that a customer will become either severely delinquent or will in fact default on payments to its trade creditors. Business credit scores are examples of predictive models. Credit scores that we're going to talk about today can be purchased directly from third parties. They are often included in third-party credit reports purchased from third-party credit bureaus, also known as credit reporting agencies, or they can be calculated using credit scoring software that's resident on the creditor company's computers. That credit scoring software can either be commercial off-the-shelf software, meaning you purchase it from a third-party vendor, or alternatively, you could, in theory, develop your own credit scoring model and credit scoring software. So as a consultant, one of the things that I'm familiar with is the fact that many credit professionals struggle to keep pace with the need that is placed on them to make both fast and appropriate credit decisions. In connection with this expectation of fast and good and appropriate and timely decisions, the use of credit scores may help. In fact, automation has already happened. Some creditor companies now use decision support software in the credit and collection function, and decision support software includes credit scoring models to help the decision maker make faster and better decisions. Fundamentally, a credit score is an assessment of the risk of offering open account terms to either an existing customer or an applicant. For the applicant, it would be the first-time decision. Do they qualify for open account terms? If so, what credit limit is appropriate? For the active or existing customer, the question would be, do they still qualify for the existing credit limit, or alternatively, do they qualify for a higher credit limit than the one that we've assigned to them? In America, some creditor companies use credit scoring as a way to set credit limits, approve new accounts, and evaluate requests for higher credit limits. Third-party credit scoring software has been around literally for decades. The first time I personally used this type of software was in the early 1990s. I can't tell you the exact date. The software was called Risk Assessment Manager. The provider, the seller, was Dun & Bradstreet. And quite honestly, I found the software to be easy to use and largely effective and accurate in that it provided pretty good estimates of what I thought would be an appropriate credit limit for either an existing customer or a new account. And of course, in a business-to-business context, credit scores that are found in credit reports, such as, for example, D&B reports, have been around for even longer than credit scoring software. Here's some good news about credit scoring software. It's readily available, it's relatively inexpensive to purchase, it's robust, it's effective, and it's intuitive. Credit scoring software programs enable credit pros to make more rapid and more accurate decisions. And equally important, this type of software also helps the credit pro to make more internally consistent credit decisions. What do I mean by internally consistent? Let me give you an example. Let's just assume that there are two decision makers in the credit department when it comes to higher credit limits, the credit manager and the assistant credit manager. And if they are making internally consistent decisions, it means that both of them will basically come to the same conclusion when a request is received for a higher credit limit. Let's just say doubling the credit limit for an existing customer. There's a problem, however, when the two decision makers' decisions diverge, when they are not internally consistent, when one is more risk averse than the other. As a consequence, the decisions that are made differ based on who made the decision. From the salesperson's perspective, and potentially from senior management's perspective, that's going to be deeply problematic. Why? Because it shouldn't matter who makes the decision. The decision should be correct irrespective of which decision maker has been assigned the task of making that specific decision. The benefit of credit scoring software is that it helps the credit department to make more internally consistent decisions. Other benefits of acquiring credit scoring software. Credit scoring software helps us to predict whether or not a customer is likely to pay our invoices on time. It also helps us to predict the likelihood that a customer will file for bankruptcy protection or otherwise default entirely on payment. It helps reduce bad debt losses and incidents of serious payment delinquency. And ultimately, it may result in a reduction in headcount in the credit department. Benefits of credit scoring software continue. The use of credit scoring software increases productivity in the credit department. It helps us to better manage credit risk. It will help reduce both the time and the cost associated with evaluating credit applications. And it can help you to quickly identify existing customers that qualify for and should be offered higher credit limits, which results in increasing sales and increasing profits. The Altman Z-score. The Z-score is one of the earliest examples of a business credit scoring model. It's a predictive model that was developed in the 1960s. It's been around that long and it's still in use. It's still used to predict the likelihood of a customer's bankruptcy. The Z-score itself combines 5 financial ratios to determine the likelihood of a bankruptcy. And it is still in use because it is consistently able to provide evidence of its accuracy and reliability in identifying or quantifying the likelihood of a bankruptcy in the short term. Limitations of credit scoring software. If it's true that a properly designed credit scoring system that's been validated and tested will allow creditors to evaluate thousands of applicants and customers and do so consistently, impartially, and quickly, then the biggest limitation associated with purchasing credit scoring software is going to be that the opposite is also true. If a credit scoring model or credit scoring software is improperly designed or not adequately tested, it will generate inaccurate recommendations and problematic recommendations for the credit decision maker. An additional limitation is associated with the idea that some people design their own credit scoring models. The inherent problem with internally developed credit scoring models is that they often lack sophistication and they often are not rigorously validated before they are put into place. Thank you for listening. I hope you find these programs to be informative and educational. If you'd like to hear the entire on-demand program on credit department automation, please contact my sponsor, the Wisconsin Credit Association, for information about that program. And here's the website, www.wcacredit.org. Again, thanks and have a great day. Bye, everyone.